Happened in India. I was part of this group called Alternatives, and this is because I went through a sort of a convent Irish schooling, which is very, very streamlined, and it was very based on memorization and very little creativity for me to express myself. And so I got involved with this group, which allowed you to critically and creatively engage and think. This led us to these very marginal areas in Kerala, which is a neighboring state, and it was very fascinating because you see how kids really flourished within that setting. So yeah, I actually, it was a sort of an artist Marxist village, and believe it or not, I was 16 and stupid, and yeah, the kids didn't have much, but what they were doing is they were using sculpture to express themselves, and they were creating poetry, and you just got really excited because it became a way of reinventing themselves. And I see new media as a new space because these are all mediums of expression, and it's these new techno-social spaces allow these communities to engage and get creative, but at a larger scale, with engaging with across different populations. So I was very, I would say that was very inspirational, what kids can do with different mediums. I always see there's a strong, talking about formal versus informal spaces or institutions can get us to continue thinking about them as separate spaces and very disconnected. In fact, we should always look at them as informal spaces, very healthy for formal education. In fact, I believe it gives a lifeblood to formal education. Every public institution needs to reinvent itself. And if it's going to reinvent itself, it needs to look outside to be in touch with how the society is moving, evolving. And informal spaces allow societies to express themselves in very multiple creative ways. And this can go back into the stream of formal education, and then you can institutionalize that. So I see that as a very healthy relationship, really. Often, sadly, the case is you find that there's a divide where people either focus on informal versus formal learning. And I would say that would be a disservice, especially in this new media age, right, where we see the youth inhabiting these spaces for the most part, and it's outside of the school settings. So if you really want to see what they're capable of, you really need to start to see how they are playing with those spaces. The sense that the youth are, breaking grounds and they don't want structure. Like, just because certain spaces allow for the freedom, I mean, theoretically, it allows you to be free of structure. It doesn't mean that the youth necessarily want it. In fact, one can argue that they want structure even more so. I noticed that actually just at Erasmus University, sometimes I get students saying that they're frustrated if there's a lot of freedom to them, freedom for them, where they get to, which seems very the least regulated. So they're like, okay, go make a YouTube project or go do this, but with very little guidance. And sometimes they feel it's an abdication of the teacher's responsibility. So there's a thin line. It's like, yes, you give them that sense where they can take control and ownership, but they definitely want complete engagement and critical input on a recurrent way. And I think that's, a structure sometimes is very necessary for play. Well, I mean, it is unusual. I think, my family felt like I had wings on my feet. I was constantly itching to move, I guess. I don't think many people feel that need to constantly move, but I love the whole thrill of different cultures. Yeah, it was... So, I mean, in terms of advice, I think you could be stationed at one place and get a lot out of it. Or you could be moving. So it really is, regardless. Like, I've been in the Netherlands last 2 years, but I moved. I think I was traveling at least almost a third, if not more, of the time. So I don't know. Maybe in this day and age, especially in our profession, where we the research takes us to where the interesting context of enactments or research enactments are. It's a very mobile world if we choose it to be.